Long ago, in the ancient days of thunder, a great civilization of sentient reptiles, known as the Saruk, dominated the lands of Toral. As their race began to decline, many succumbed to corruption and evil and fled to other planes of existence. However, a small number remained loyal to their most benevolent deity, Jazirian, who transformed them into great magical flying serpents known as Quaddles. These beings lived in the jungles of the Chult peninsula. Over time, the spread of the evil Yuan Ti in their lands caused their numbers to wane. To counter their influence, they searched out the primitive human tribes and preached of their god, known to the humans as Ubtao. A female Tarask, known by the human tribes as the Sleeper, ruled over the lands of the Tabaxi tribe and was said to favor them over others. According to Tabaxi legend, she once sought vengeance against an ancient enemy, rallying warriors from 9 tribes to battle in Marshalk. However, after these 9 warriors were defeated, she went on a rampage, devouring 4 warriors on the night of feasting before returning to rest. This cycle repeated 23 times until a warrior named Oyai was empowered by Ubtao with magic and successfully halted, crushed, and slew the Sleeper upon her awakening. This victory led many Tabaxi to pledge themselves to Ubtao and migrate to Chult. The region of Chult is located at the westernmost end of the Chultan peninsula in the southern part of the trackless sea off the coast of Kalimshan. The peninsula is largely an untamed tropical wilderness with dense jungles and snaky rivers ringed by mountains, volcanoes, and sheer escarpments. The rivers are so sluggish that it can be difficult determining which direction is upstream and which is down. The rivers pick up speed only where they thunder down through steep-sided gorges. Mountains to the west, south, and east shield the interior from the sea and from the view of sailors. The farther one moves from the coast, the more humid, hot, and inhospitable the land becomes. The terrain of Chult, primarily mountainous jungle with lowland swamps, is difficult to survive in. Shivering sickness is carried by Chultan swarming and stinging insects like mosquitoes, centipedes, scorpions, wasps, and others. It has a short incubation period, causing symptoms the following day after infection. The affected suffer from confusion, blurred vision, reduced body temperature, chattering teeth, and the shakes. The infection also slows natural healing and makes it challenging to perform even mundane tasks. The sickness is not deadly, and eventually those affected will recover if they don't succumb to the other hostile forces in the region. Those who drink unboiled jungle water are almost certain to acquire some sort of disease or parasite before long. Those who stop for water and traverse the jungle are often attacked by zygomes, insidious plants that ensnare unwary creatures with their sticky tendrils, slowly digesting them over time. The dominant predators of the land are the dinosaurs. Other creatures include chuls, hydras, nagas, troglodytes, trolls, and wyverns. Pterafolk appear akin to tailless lizard folk or saurials, but their towering height and elongated cranial crests set them apart. These reptilian humanoids boast smooth, fine scales, ranging from the olive green to the light tan shades. Their thin, sinewy limbs terminate in sharp claws. Pterafolk eschew clothing, preferring only belts and bandoliers for practical purposes. While not all lizard folk are inherently evil, pterafolk lean towards cruelty and viciousness. Their inherent distrust extends beyond their own race, making them highly untrusting of outsiders. However, intriguingly, some pterafolk raised in other societies do manage to transcend their violent tendencies and embrace alignments beyond evil. They tend to enjoy collecting items valued by nearby communities. Pterafolk can unfurl a pair of 8-foot-long leathery webbed wings, allowing them to soar through the skies. Alternatively, they can assume the form of a small dinosaur. However, they reserve these transformations primarily for flight, preferring their natural humanoid shape for most interactions. Pterafolk rarely engage in strategic planning, but their combat tactics reveal a primal cunning. They employ dive-bombing maneuvers, plummeting from altitudes of over 100 feet to strike at their foes with rear claws, toothed beaks, or barbed spears. Circling their opponents, they create a relentless stream of diving attacks from all directions. Their preferred prey includes massive prehistoric mammals like Brontotheres and hornless rhinoceri, as well as axe beaks, giant flightless birds. In addition to meat, they consume jungle fruits, roots, bark, and flowers. The Peaks of Flame are a formidable mountain range at the heart of Chult. The mountain range is home to 3 active volcanoes that perpetually spew ash and smoke into the skies. These fiery peaks are influenced by the elemental plane of fire, and the lava tubes to these volcanoes connect to the Burning Rift, a region within the Underdark known for its intense heat and molten rivers. Amidst the active peak lies an inactive 4th volcano, its summit sheltered by a massive eruption. This crater is known as the Emerald Crater. Located on the southern coast of Chult, the Cauldron is a surreal spectacle where the land meets the sea, bordered by enigmatic ash and smoke. This bay is the result of the convergence of lava flows from the northern wastelands, perpetually merging with the ash-covered waters. The interaction causes massive clouds of steam that cloak the bay. Despite its haunting beauty, the cauldron itself is toxic, rendering it uninhabitable for aquatic life and shrouding its surface with a veil of floating ash and soot. Among the mysteries of the cauldron lies the legend of iron doors hidden within its depths, rumored to serve as a portal to the Fugue Plane, the realm of the departed. Prophecies also echo through time, foretelling of a cataclysmic event where the night serpent Dendar shall unleash chaos by tearing down these ominous doors, ushering Toral into an age of darkness. The majority of humans in Chult live in tribal communities consisting of a dozen or so families. These communities are largely nomadic, moving from one area to the next. When the poor soil of the largely jungle-covered peninsula becomes depleted, for hunting and defense, they rely on non-metallic weapons like clubs, bows, and short spears due to the shortage of metal ores. Chultans have a deep respect for dinosaurs due to their religious beliefs and respect for their power, calling them thunderers or behemoths. Magic is generally feared among the Chultans. Each tribal family generally only has one wielder of arcane magic who performs hunting ceremonies and brews potions to aid the hunters. Despite this restriction on arcane spellcasters, the number for people with an aptitude for magic is the same as anywhere else in Faerun. This attitude towards the arcane causes some arcanists to flee into the jungle to practice their art alone. Chultans as a whole are simple people, distrusting of power and wealth. If an item is not able to be carried on a person, it's often not considered worth owning. In the mind of a Chultan, the clan is always more important than the individual. Chultans have adapted to the harsh climates of Chult and do not suffer the effects of heat stroke that most humans visiting the country endure. Ubtao remains the patron deity of Chult. His influence extends beyond mere worship. He's the architect of Chult itself. His origins are shrouded in mystery. Some believe he emerged from the primordial chaos, while others speculate that he was once mortal, elevated to godhood. Regardless, Ubtao's aloofness sets him apart. He remains distant from both mortals and fellow deities, seemingly above the mundane affairs of the world. Ubtao's symbol is the maze, a labyrinthine pattern representing the intricate paths of life. To his followers, existence resembles a maze, one they must navigate, spell out their past, and anticipate their future. Becoming a chosen of Ubtao requires understanding this cosmic pattern and navigating the maze of existence. When Ubtao manifests, he takes on various forms. His most common avatar appears as a powerful Tabaxi human male with dark brown skin, cropped black hair, and dusky eyes. His age defies reckoning, nearing the earth of Chult. His other form is a colossal Tyrannosaurus rex, dwarfing even the largest mortal dinosaurs. Before the 14th century, Ubtao frequently appeared in diverse shapes beyond his dinosaur avatar. His influence extends to the city of Mezro, founded by him. The city thrived under his watchful gaze, a sanctuary where the faithful found solace. Mezro's architecture mirrored the maze, its streets winding and incomprehensible to outsiders. However, during the time of troubles, Ubtao's disinterest waned. Maze walkers serve as spiritual guardians for the clans of the humans in Chult. They guide their fellow tribe members through the metaphorical maze of existence, ensuring their well-being and safe passage through life's challenges. Their connection to Ubtao allows them to navigate both physical and spiritual obstacles. Beyond their protective duties, maze walkers also act as historians and lore keepers. They preserve oral traditions, legends, and knowledge of their people. Their wisdom guides tribal councils, settling disputes and shaping the destiny of Chultan communities. Ubtao harbors a deep loathing for the undead. Consequently, maze walkers possess a unique skill. They are adept at turning these abominations. Their chants and rituals disrupt the restless spirits, ensuring that the dead remain at peace. Maze walkers never lose their way in the tangled foliage and labyrinthine ruins of Chult. Their innate sense of direction allows them to traverse the dense vegetation without hesitation, avoiding pitfalls and dangers. The maze and confusion spells that bewilder others have no power over the maze walkers. Their minds remain clear, even when surrounded by chaos. Maze walkers can cast a variety of spells, including Analyze Balance, Mind Read, Memory Read, Genius, Addition, Call Dinosaurs, and Mind Tracker. They typically wield blunt weapons and sometimes armor. In addition to their personal abilities, maze walkers possess maze walker chalices, enchanted items crafted from gold. These chalices lack ornate decorations, but bear a maze-like pattern engraved into their bases. Their purpose remains shrouded in mystery, perhaps tied to their rituals, ceremonies, or direct communion with Ubtao. The Aldani, referred to as the lobster folk, possess an appearance that belies their true nature. Their heavily armored exoskeletons resemble those of lobsters, yet beneath this rugged exterior lies surprising intelligence and civilization. These crustacean beings, over time, they retreated to the secluded lakes. They prefer isolation. Their settlements, hidden with dense foliage or submerged in the murky lakes, are rarely discovered by outsiders. Their society is strictly hierarchical. Elders, marked by their larger size and more intricate carapaces, hold sway over the younger generations. Their wisdom guides the tribe's decisions, especially during times of crisis. The Aldani revere their ancestors. Rituals involve offerings of swamp flora, whispered prayers to forgotten deities, and dances that mimic the swaying of water plants. They believe the spirits of their ancestors reside in the basin's waters. They move silently through the swamp, their chitinous limbs barely disturbing the water's surface. They utilize ambush tactics, lying in wait and concealing themselves among the reeds to strike swiftly when prey approaches. Their exoskeletons blend seamlessly with their murky surroundings. Their hunters often adorn themselves with algae and water plants, further enhancing their concealment. Their pincers deliver a potent venom. A single strike can paralyze prey or deter predators. Aldani shamans practice a form of swamp alchemy, brewing elixirs from rare plants and swamp creatures. These concoctions enhance their senses, grant temporary amphibious abilities, and induce visions. Few outsiders have glimpsed an Aldani. Those who do often mistake them for oversized lobsters or bizarre swamp creatures. Occasionally, explorers seeking rare herbs or magical components will venture into their territory. The lobster folk trade these resources in exchange for secrets, knowledge of hidden ley lines, forgotten ruins, or ancient curses. The Chultan dwarves, also known as the dwarves of the domain, are a unique subterranean group of dwarves inhabiting the land of Chult. These dwarves stand out due to their albino appearance, characterized by white hair, pale skin, and pink eyes. Their sensitivity to the scorching sun of Chult led them to avoid venturing above the ground during the day. Physically, they resemble their northern dwarf cousins, but are slightly shorter on average. Chultan dwarves are known for their somber and grumpy demeanor. While not inherently violent, they fiercely defend their homes and mines against any threats. Most Chultan dwarves resided deep below the surface in a community known as the Domain. Their subterranean realm was rich in minerals, gems, and valuable ores. To navigate the dense jungles of Chult, they created an extensive network of tunnels. They employed dinosaurs from the surface as pack animals for their mining operations. Their craftsmanship skills are exceptional, especially when working with gems and precious metals. Culturally, Chultan dwarves place a great importance on birthright and lineage. Status within their society is determined by heritage. They maintain their own written language, distinct from that of northern dwarves. The color white is associated with death by the Tabaxi, leading to fear of the Chultan dwarves among the tribal humans. Because of this, their primary trade partners were the goblins, exchanging gems for essential goods. Additionally, Chultan dwarves crafted and sold diamond-edged weapons to surface folk, including axes, short swords, and spears. Throughout their history, Chultan dwarves faced threats from the jungle-dwelling Yuan-Ti. In the 15th century, volcanic activity forced them to leave their subterranean realms. Some sought refuge among the civilized peoples of the coast, while others adapted to life in the jungle. With their traditional materials scarce, they ingeniously craft armor, weapons, and tools from dinosaur hide, bones, flint, and wood. The goblinoid tribes of Chult, known as the Batiri, have developed a unique culture due to their isolation and environment. They blend seamlessly with their lush jungle surroundings. Most of them have green skin, which aids in their stealthy movements. Their attire is minimal, often consisting of little more than rags. However, high-ranking Batiri warriors might occasionally don poorly prepared dinosaur hide breastplates or helmets. They rarely settle into permanent villages, instead leading nomadic lives, moving from one camp to another under cover of night. Their camps are often marked by permanent huts built over shallow pits, primarily for shade. These huts are shared among the clans, and disputes over hut occupancy are sometimes resolved through bloodshed. While Batiri are often considered cannibals, they strictly adhere to certain rules. They consume the flesh of other races, but never that of fellow Batiri tribe members. Eating another Batiri is punishable by death. Additionally, they engage in ritualistic combat, often taking sliced-off fingers and hands from their opponents during wrestling matches and disagreements. They possess a matriarchal culture. Their queens hold significant authority within the tribe. When a queen dies, fierce fighting ensues among the potential successors until a new queen emerges victorious and proclaims herself ruler. They prefer to hunt at night, capitalizing on their natural dark vision. They wield crude short bows and spears, displaying remarkable proficiency with these weapons. Some fortunate warriors may even possess stolen metal weapons from neighboring human tribes or fallen adventurers. In combat, some Batiri tribes form battle stacks, where goblins ride on each other's shoulders, creating a towering formation up to 9 warriors tall. These stacks serve both to intimidate foes and reach adversaries hiding in trees. After raids or battles, the Batiri consume the flesh of their victims. These gruesome feasts sustain them in the unforgiving jungle. They are feared by other races in Chult due to their exceptional tracking skills and jungle expertise. The Tabaxi, not to be confused with the human tribe with the same name, also known as the Jaguar people or Catmen, are a race of humanoid felinids native to the dense jungles of Maztica and Chult. These enigmatic beings possess a unique blend of feline grace, curiosity, and ancient wisdom. They stand taller than most humans. Their slender bodies are adorned with spotted or striped fur, ranging from light yellow to brownish red. Like true felines, they sport long tails and retractable claws. Their slit-pupiled eyes usually shimmer in shades of green or yellow. They're adept swimmers, climbers, and swift runners, possessing an acute sense of balance and smell. Tabaxi are reclusive by nature, often avoiding interactions with other intelligent races. However, their innate curiosity drives some to explore the world, seeking stories, artifacts, and knowledge. They rarely care for wealth, but harbor a deep interest in ancient relics and magic items, not for their material value, but for the secrets they contain. Once an item's mysteries are unraveled, it loses its allure, and the Tabaxi swiftly move on. Some become traveling minstrels and tinkerers, satisfying their obsessions through interesting objects and tales. Their society is decentralized, organized into small clans within the jungle. Shamans play a crucial role in organizing their society. Due to the black market and slave trade, some Tabaxi found refuge in the jungles of Chult after escaping captivity, while Tabaxi minstrels thrive along the civilized coast. Hunters roam the entire peninsula. Their religious practices involve reverence for deities like the Cat Lord, Tezca, and Nula. They generally speak common and their native tongue, Tabaxi. Nestled along the northern coast of Chult, Port Nyanzaru is a beacon of civilization in an otherwise untamed and perilous land. This bustling metropolis serves as the major trading center for the entire region. The city's origins are entwined with the enterprising spirit of Chultan traders who arrive from all over Faerun. These resourceful individuals recognize the strategic significance of the Bay of Chult and the mouth of the river Shashanstar. They established a modest trading post, laying the groundwork for what would eventually become Port Nyanzaru. As explorers ventured deeper into the jungles, they discovered rare resources, exotic spices, gemstones, and dinosaur hides. The port quickly evolved into a bustling hub for trade, attracting merchants, adventurers, and fortune seekers from distant lands. During the mid-14th century, the Triceratops Society, a group dedicated to the protection and study of the dinosaurs of Chult, had significant sway in Port Nyanzaru. They controlled the loading and unloading of cargo at the docks, keeping a watchful eye on all visitors. Suspected mages, or those carrying magical items, were closely monitored. If any visitor ventured into the jungle, they dispatched agents to notify the nearby villages. The nation of driven by profit and the allure of Chult's riches, asserted colonial control over the region. Port Nyanzaru fell under their dominion. The Omnian rulers, profiteers in their own right, imposed high taxes on residents. These taxes were ostensibly in exchange for safety from the jungle's perils. However, those unaffiliated with major trading companies often found themselves relegated to shanty towns outside the city's walls, falling prey to the jungle's many hazards. By the 15th century, Amd had tightened its grip on Port Nyanzaru. They controlled all mercantile activities within the city, the bustling markets and resource extraction operations operating under Omnian oversight. In the 1480s, the winds of change blew through the port. A consortium of Chultan traders, backed by the Triceratops Society, spearheaded the city's bid for independence. Their influence was formidable, and with their assistance, the 7 wealthiest traders ascended to the coveted title of the Merchant Princes of Nyanzaru. These merchant princes formed a council, each holding an equal vote. They could freely create or amend laws. The city's judiciary interprets these laws with wisdom and flexibility, ensuring a balance between commerce and governance. The fate of Mezro, the holy city abandoned by the god Ubtao, nestled within the jungles of Chult, is one of mystery and tragedy. For centuries, Mezro remained isolated from the outside world. Its walls shielded it from the chaos and dangers of the jungle. The Baras of Ubtao, the undying paladins chosen by the god, safeguarded its traditions. Within these confines, Mezro thrived as a bastion of civilization in the jungle. Its circular layout was organized into distinct quarters: agricultural, residential, market, and scholars. The city's core was the Temple of Ubtao, a 9-story golden-domed edifice where the Bara Osa ruled. In 1363, the year of the Wyvern, Mezro opened its doors to the outside world. The reasons behind this decision are a mystery, but it marked a seismic shift in the dynamics in the city. As Mezro reconnected with Chult and the wider Forgotten Realms, the Triceratops Society arrived in the city. Suddenly, Mezroans found themselves face to face with living relics, the very dinosaurs they revere in their myths, legends, and art. Yet despite this newfound openness, Mezro's fate took a turn. During the cataclysmic spell plague, the city vanished. Its once vibrant streets, bustling markets, and scholarly halls dissolved into echoes. Some say Mezro was consumed by the jungle, its buildings reclaimed by vines and foliage. Others believe it was spirited away to another plane of existence, lost to time and memory. The Soulmonger, an artifact which is the source of the undead on Chult, has a storied origin. It was not forged by mortal hands, but rather conceived by the twisted mind of the demi-lich Acererak. Infamous for his malevolence and mastery of necromancy, he sought dominion over life and death itself. His insatiable hunger for power drove him to create an artifact that would transcend mortality, a vessel capable of capturing souls and defying the natural order. In the year 1360, Acererak stole the egg of a female topaz dragon, Crax. He concealed the precious egg within his volcanic lair nestled near Chult's coast. This island, called the Mother of Mists, is said to harbor secrets of Acererak that transcend time and space. The Soulmonger's malevolence extended beyond mere soul capture. It preyed upon those who had experienced resurrection. Any living individual who had once returned from death found their life force inextricably drawn to the artifact. The curse spread like a festering wound, choking the cycle of life and death across Toral. His motives for creating the magical abomination remained shrouded in mystery. Perhaps he sought to defy the gods themselves, mocking their dominion over mortality. Or perhaps he reveled in the suffering of souls, delighting in their eternal torment. Whatever his purpose, the Soulmonger became a conduit for his insidious will. After its creation, the Soulmonger spread its influence into the jungles, ensnaring adventurers, shamans, and even the chosen of Ubtao. The curse's grip tightened, and the land itself now groans under its weight. Ras Nsi was once a human, hailing from the city of Mezro. His early years were marked by devotion to Ubtao, eventually leading him to ascend as one of the chosen. His story takes a turn when the glorious city of Mezro, hidden deep within the jungles of Chult, fell. King Osa, another chosen of Ubtao, opened Mezro's gates to outsiders, a decision that Ras Nsi vehemently opposed. The influx of non-Tabaxi visitors disrupted the sacred balance, and Mezro's downfall ensued. Driven by grief and rage, Ras Nsi sought vengeance against the Ishowe tribe, who he believed were responsible for Mezro's demise. His wrath knew no bounds, and he unleashed a torrent of violence upon them. But it was his mastery over necromancy that truly set him apart. He became the architect of Chult's undead menace, creating legions of animated corpses that now roam the jungles. Ras Nsi was granted immortality by Ubtao, becoming a type of lich. He could not age or fall prey to sickness, and his abilities are formidable. Despite his exile from Mezro, he clung to his devotion. His appearance has changed drastically, now resembling the form of a Yuan-Ti Malison, with his torso and face wrapped in bandages, wielding a flaming longsword. His eyes glow crimson, and his zeal for Mezro consumes him. His mansion is a marvel of architecture, combining elegance and menace. It boasts low defensive walls, stained glass windows, and waving banners. Its white stone walls rise above the jungle canopy, visible from afar. The mansion rests upon a massive platform, carried by 24 gigantic skeletal tortoises. These ancient creatures are animated by the Lich's magic. Their slow, deliberate movements ensure that the mansion drifts through the jungle, never anchored to a fixed location. Within its walls, the mansion holds many secrets, both mundane and malevolent. Rooms adorned with opulent tapestries and ancient artifacts contrast sharply with chambers where Nsi conducts his dark experiments. Hidden passages lead to forgotten libraries, crypts, and chambers filled with forbidden knowledge. Nsi himself still resides within the mansion, although by the 1480s, the structure itself has fallen into disrepair. Rampaging undead and the weight of centuries have taken their toll. The once majestic halls now echo with emptiness, and the skeletal tortoises move aimlessly through the jungle, their purpose lost. The legendary city of the dead, known as Omu, lies nestled within a basin, surrounded by towering cliffs, deep in the heart of the Chultan jungle. Its location is intentionally elusive, surrounded in dense foliage and guarded by primal spirits. In its heyday, Omu thrived on mining and commerce, but its mineral wealth and power fueled greed, leading the city to demand from neighboring settlements slaves to toil in its mines. This hubris angered Ubtao, and in the 13th century, he abandoned them, withdrawing his divine favor and leaving the city vulnerable. Ubtao's departure triggered a chain of events. The city's armies marched across Chult, but their arrogance led to ruin. The oppressed slaves revolted, and Omu crumbled. Its once great society became a shadow, its currency and maps deliberately destroyed. The city's name faded from memory, earning it the moniker, the Forgotten City. With no overseeing deity, Omu attracted the attention of primal spirits from the jungle. These spirits offered power to the scattered Omuans who remained. In exchange for veneration, the Omuans abandoned Ubtao's temples and turned to the brutal and capricious spirits, the 9 trickster gods. Their reign over Omu lasted for nearly a century, marked by blood trials, sacrifices, and decadence. In the late 14th century, the trickster gods caught the attention of the cosmos-traveling lich, Hisari. Inspired by their bloody trials, Hisari invaded Omu, slaying the trickster gods and forcing the Omuans into servitude. Beneath the city, he constructed a malevolent dungeon, the infamous Tomb of the 9 Gods. Here, he trapped the souls of previously deceased Toralians, creating a death curse that has plagued the land in the 15th century. In the mid-15th century, Yuan-Ti settled in Omu, followed by the arrival of the lich Ras Nsi, who fled from the city of Mezro. After they had arrived, natural disasters shook Omu, and when the Yuan-Ti abomination leader perished, Ras Nsi transformed into a Yuan-Ti and took charge. Beneath the city's streets lies the Tomb of the 9 Gods, Hisari's dungeon. He designed it to kill any intruders daring enough to venture within. Here, the remains of the trickster gods reside. Outside of the larger settlements and landmarks, Chult has many places of interest. Fort Beluarian stands defiantly as a resilient outpost in the heart of the jungles of Chult. This small but strategically vital fortification belongs to the Flaming Fists, a renowned mercenary company based in Baldur's Gate. The Flaming Fists operate with 2 purposes: to promote the cause of good and provide shelter to adventurers in dire need. The troops stationed at Fort Beluarian collaborate closely with adventurers. Their mission extends beyond the walls of the fort, venturing into the untamed wilderness of Chult. Here, they face not only the dangers of the jungle, but also the death curse that has befallen Faerun. In contrast to Beluarian's relative stability, Camp Righteous carries a more tragic history. Established during the 15th century, this military outpost belonged to the Order of the Gauntlet, a noble organization dedicated to upholding justice and combating evil. Its location lay along the river Shoshenstar in the northern regions of the Chultan jungles. The camp was built around a remarkable structure known as the House of the Crocodile, a cave complex featuring an 80-foot-tall stone statue carved to depict a man carrying a crocodile on his back. Nangalore was a garden constructed entirely from stone, its architecture harmonizing with the surrounding jungle. Situated close to the river Olang, the garden's entrance was even flooded by the river's waters at times, allowing for easier access by canoe. Within the ruins, a diverse array of flora and fauna have thrived. Jungle plants, some hallucinogenic, intertwined with a myriad types of poisonous vegetation. Yellow musk creepers, mantraps, and triflower fronds coexist alongside dangerous animals, poisonous snakes, giant spiders, and flying monkeys. The garden harbors secrets, including the presence of 3 elusive chwingas, mysterious elemental spirits. The Hanging Garden of Dreams, as it was initially called, was constructed under Queen Zalcore's rule by her commander and consort, Thirutaya. However, tragedy struck when Zalcore's pursuit of forbidden power led her to bargain with a malevolent entity, resulting in her transformation into a Medusa. The army forced her abdication, and Thirutaya's statues were defaced in her rage. The once hopeful garden became Nangalore, the garden of lost dreams. The garden became the queen's permanent lair, and she cultivated hallucinogenic plants, hoping their effects would reveal the face of her lost love. The Ulu Thalong is a terrifying monster steeped in Chultan legend. An ancient, massive, intelligent creature, its actual appearance remains shrouded in mystery. Instead of having a conventional form, the Ulu manifests itself from within the trees and plants of the jungle. As it moves, it appears as bulges and ripples, an eerie presence that defies comprehension. The Ulu's approach is often heralded by a strange sound akin to atonal pipes, but its more horrifying ability lies in its method of attack. It can sting sentient prey with a sharp root, draining the victim's innards. The empty husk left behind becomes a vessel for the Ulu, allowing it to control the body and even speak through its lips. Using this macabre method, the Ulu lures unsuspecting victims into its clutches, imitating friends or pretending to be a traveler in need. In combat, the Ulu is a force to be reckoned with. As it moves through jungle plants, any branch it touches can become a jawed tentacle, snapping and tearing until all life in the vicinity is extinguished. Remarkably, the Ulu can locate its prey with precision, even without any discernible eyes. Severing a possessed branch from this plant temporarily halts its attacks, but the beast seems indestructible. Despite desperate attempts by groups of wizards, some resorting to setting fire to large swathes of the forest, the Ulu Thalong persists, defying annihilation. Hisari stood at the base of the crown, great volcano of the Sky Lizard Mountains, nestled within a vast basin in the jungle. 4 massive waterfalls flowed into the basin from each cardinal direction. The city was originally inhabited by the Saruk. However, after the city laid abandoned for eons, the Yuan-Ti took over. Many of their kind relocated to the city, where they sought to freely worship their goddess, Dendar, the night serpent. During the 14th century, around the time of the spell plague, Hisari was mysteriously swallowed into the earth beneath Chult. As a result, the Yuan-Ti left, but the packs of dog-like creatures, called Nifferns that they raised, continued to roam the city's streets. In the year of the Ageless One, 1479, a group of adventurers, led by Harp Levesque, infiltrated the Hisari Palace, defeated its guardian, and stole a precious artifact known as the Torque. This ancient artifact was created by the Saruk and was a single broken chain that bound an unknown ancient being known as the Captive. Captive's skeletal remains are embedded into the stone walls of the Spirit Vault, a specialized structure built by the dwarves, the Domain. Captive's exact appearance remains a mystery, but it stood about 4 times the height of an average human. Its skull resembled that of a large feline, and it had distinct wings extending from its back. Captive's bones are veined with different colors, including light blue beige, and copper hues. The artifact known as the Torque was crafted from a piece of the captive's binding chain. It granted powerful magical protection to its wearer. The dwarves of Chult venerated the captive as some sort of god, while the Saruk and Yuan-Ti referred to the Torque as the atrocity. The blood of the captive possessed profound restorative properties, and a single vial of it was preserved beneath the eternal flames of the spirit vault. Both the Saruk and the Yuan-Ti sought the captive's blood to potentially bring it back to life and control its will. Dendar is a deity revered by the Yuan-Ti. Her domain lies in the dark recesses of the cosmos, where she coils and slithers through the nightmares of mortals. Her very existence is shrouded in mystery, and her true nature remains elusive. According to Chultan legends, Dendar is the embodiment of nightmares, feeding on the fears and anxieties of sentient beings. She is said to reside in the Shadowfell, a plane of existence closely tied to darkness, shadows, and the subconscious mind. In this shadowy realm, Dendar weaves her malevolent influence, whispering dreadful visions into the minds of dreamers. Central to the cults of Dendar is the prophecy of eternal night. According to ancient texts, when the stars align and cosmic forces converge, Dendar will awaken from her slumber. Her emergence heralds an era of perpetual darkness, a time when nightmares spill forth from the Shadowfell, enveloping the world in fear and despair. The prophecy foretells that Dendar will devour the sun, plunging Faerun into eternal night. During this cataclysmic event, the boundaries between dreams and reality will blur, and mortals will suffer under the weight of their deepest fears. The Yuan-Ti eagerly anticipate this apocalyptic awakening, believing it will grant them dominion over the world. The Heart of Ubtao stands as one of the most revered and enigmatic landmarks within the vast wilderness of Chult. This sacred site holds deep significance, as the worshippers of Ubtao recognize it as a direct connection to their patron deity. The Heart of Ubtao is an earth moat, a massive chunk of earth suspended in the air by powerful magic. It hovers approximately 200 feet above the ground, casting its shadow over Aldani Basin, a secluded region of Chult. The earth moat's shape bears an uncanny resemblance to a humanoid heart, with petrified tree roots that mimic veins and arteries. Rainwater, filtered through iron deposits, takes on a reddish hue, resembling blood as it drips down to the jungle below. Faithful Chultans believe that the earth moat is quite literally the Heart of Ubtao. Their devotion to the deity is unwavering, and they consider the heart a direct conduit to his essence. While the hollowed, petrified tree at the center of the earth moat naturally hosts swarms of bats, it also harbors a more ominous presence. Undead protectors roam its twisted branches, including a pair of zombified Giralons. These guardians stand watch over the sacred site, ensuring that it remains undisturbed. Cradling great civilizations for eons, the ruins of Chult hold uncounted treasures and knowledge, yet only for those few brave, strong, and clever enough to venture from its jagged coast into the oppressive heat and dangers that lurk in the jungles and swamps can hope to unlock its mysteries. For those who are able to survive the harsh conditions and denizens of this ancient land, it remains one of the most unique and awe-inspiring places in Faerun and the Forgotten Realms.